The first thing you hear when it comes on the radio is that guitar sound and that voice. No one has a voice like Vince.
If it first comes on, you know it's Motley because it's on the brink of distortion.
Our songs are heavy, but they have always have a real good groove in it, you know. And I think that's the Motley sound is heavy groove.
It sounds massive, and that's the way we like it.
Motley Crue came together in 1981 in the small clubs and bars of Hollywood on a scene that was slowly turning away from skinny-tie new wave groups towards something, well, harder and more provocative.
At the time we were coming out was like the big heyday of like new wave, like the Knack and those kind of bands, and which is cool, but it was time for change.
I had seen Tommy at the Starwood Club, and he knew Vince.
They found Mick, you know, in a newspaper called The Recycler.
He was a loud and aggressive guitar player, and my name and a phone number, and I got a call from Nicky.
He shows up, he looks like something out of the Addams Family. He's standing at the front door. We're going, wow, this is wild, man. Let's listen to this guy play. He played unbelievable. He brought his Marshall stacks inside Nicky's little house that he lived in, and he was just cranking, and that was cool. And then we were looking for a singer. We had Motley Crue did have another singer. We had this guy that lasted about 2 days, who was real strange. And so Nicky goes, Tommy, you know, don't you know any other guys? So I go, yeah, I went to school with this guy. He's my bud, you know, but he's in another band. He goes, well, it doesn't matter. Let's just, you know, we'll go steal him out of that band.
I was playing at the Starwood one night, and the three of them came down.
He blew out the first audition. We called him. We're all waiting for him. We're waiting. And they're all looking at me. Tommy, where's your bud? I go, he said he was coming, man. I don't know.
And I never showed up.
So I drove by his house and said, man, what's up, dude? Why didn't you come by? And he said, well, I don't know if I want to play with you guys, you know. And it was just real weird. And then finally, I guess some weird happened in his band, and he did come the next day, and he auditioned, and that was it.
The fledgling Crue built up a following through the time-honored method of playing non-stop local gigs, but they went on to chart a do-it-yourself course that many succeeding LA metal bands have followed.
We pooled our money together, and we got enough money to record 2 songs and make a 45.
We recorded those to get people to come up to the front, you know, to stand near us. So we'd go, come here, here's a record, come on, stay there.
We'd be playing, Vince would be going, we'd just be flinging them out, and pretty soon it was like, it took off like a weed, just word of mouth.
Motley Crue followed up their 1981 demo single with an independently produced album called Too Fast for Love. Meanwhile, on stage, in the tradition of such acts as Alice Cooper and Kiss, they began designing their own stage spectacles, complete with glam-bam wardrobe, lots of props, and home-brewed pyrotechnic effects.
We used to experiment in our apartment, and, you know, we'd blow stuff up all the time. That's where we learned how to light Nicky on fire.
I think I was usually the one that came up with the idea, and then they were usually the ones that nodded their heads, and so it always ended up being me that, you know, got torched.
One day he goes, hey, T-Bone, you know, we got any rubbing alcohol around? I go, yeah, I think there's some in the, you know, in the bathroom. We all lived in this one apartment together, and I go grab the rubbing alcohol, and Vince and I were dousing Nicky with, and we'd put it on. He was wearing leather pants so he wouldn't get burned, right? I mean, we were trying to be safe about this. And we just put it on his, like from his knees down to his shoes, and then we just light him on fire, and you stand there burning. Then we took that to the stage.
Even if it was a little hokey at times, you know, it worked.
In 1982, Motley Crue got signed by a major label, Elektra Records, which re-released the group's Too Fast for Love LP. In 1983 came the band's Shout at the Devil album, and the first of many major image shifts. Theater of Pain yielded the Crue's first top 40 single, which turned out to be a cover of a 1973 Brownsville station hit, Smokin' in the Boys' Room. By 1987, the band had discarded most of its makeup and stripped its sound back down to basics. The title track of their new album, Girls, 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 turned into another hit single, and the LP itself stormed up the charts. In fact, it seemed poised to go all the way to the top, but then suddenly it stopped at number 2.
When the Girls, Girls, Girls album went to number 2, and we knew what the sales were that week, and we all of a sudden, it's like, you know, when you're about to go number 1, you find out a lot of stuff. You get very interested. And that week, Whitney Houston debuted at number 1, but we sold the most records in the nation. And that really pissed us off. And all of a sudden, it was a goal.
That goal was finally realized with Motley Crue's next album, Dr. Feelgood, which went to number 1 in October 1989. Validation at last for a band that had helped launch the now booming LA metal explosion years before.
No respect.
We are the Rodney Dangerfields of rock.
No matter how much a band says, oh, we don't care, we don't read our reviews, you know, that's true to a point, but to be accepted is a real good feeling, too.
We weren't taken seriously for the whole first part of our career, you know? I mean, most people didn't think we were going to last.
One major reason for Motley Crue's unusual staying power has been the group's videos, which in traditionally rude rock fashion have mixed together everything from dopey occult trappings to bikes and babes and on-the-road imagery. Nothing really new, but in their own musical sphere, these clips have had a certain influence.
In this day and age, you know, video is a big thing, and you know, you expect to see a video from a song, and if you don't, you know, it's like there's something missing now.
All I wanted to do was play drums, but my parents thought that, you know, maybe a good thing for me to do is learn accordion. And then I got an amp. This is the coolest. I got this, like, guitar amp, because my accordion, you could plug it in, and then I just cranked this thing on 10 for distortion, turn the speakers around, open my bedroom window, and crank Smoke on the Water. I was getting all heavy, you know. I wanted everybody to hear it. I tried to make it sound like a guitar, you know. Friends would ask me, hey man, was that you playing the accordion? No man, I got a guitar, man. Got a guitar.
One guaranteed way to get attention in the Reagan 80s was to drag out some Satanist imagery, mainly pentagrams and ominous-sounding anagrams, and garnish it with some time-honored S&M trappings, a mock evil brew that, as planned, quickly drew fire from conservative political and religious groups.
Anything that you don't understand is immediately categorized as evil.
If somebody sees a spider climbing up the wall, the first thing they do is kill it. That's the first reaction people have. And anything that is intimidating, the first thing they want to do is stomp on it, or kill it, or ban it.
Somebody was telling me that they wanted to come see our concert once, and their parents wouldn't let them because they said we kill chickens on stage. It's like, what? Chickens? I mean, where do you get this stuff from?
Rock and roll music has always been like the greatest misunderstood thing on the planet.
Every metal band in the world, of course, claims to be composed of really bad dudes, and Motley Crue was no exception. From groupie-packed parties to fast cars and hard drugs and oceans of alcohol, these guys did, in fact, for what it may be worth, do it all. But as many a band before them had discovered, life in this particular fast lane takes a heavy toll. In 1983, Nicky Sixx wrapped his Porsche around a telephone pole, injuring his shoulder. The following year, Tommy Lee flipped his 280Z 4 times on an LA freeway, but walked away unharmed. Then in December 1984, Vince Neil, drunk, drove his Ford Pantera into an oncoming car. 2 passengers in the other vehicle were seriously injured, and Neil's passenger, the drummer Razzle of Hanoi Rocks, was killed. After serving 30 days in jail for drunken driving and vehicular manslaughter, Neil rejoined the group to record Theater of Pain. The album was dedicated to the late Razzle, and it also carried a warning to fans about the dangers of drinking and driving. In reality, though, Motley Crue was still drinking and drugging it up as much as ever.
We'd been in a haze for 9 years, a serious haze. It wasn't a, hey, let's party, dude. It wasn't a few beers. I mean, it was hard drug use.
It just really blows my mind how we didn't get it together. Nothing stopped us.
The Girls, Girls, Girls tour, we were a mess. I mean, each one of us was just like totally out of control. We were doing drugs and drinking like, you know, you couldn't even imagine. Nicky went to jail in Tokyo, you know, because we almost caused a riot on the bullet train, you know, throwing Jack Daniels bottles and stuff, and I almost got killed. I had a gun pulled on me in a club because I was so drunk. We were supposed to go to Europe, and in that time between Japan and Europe is when Nicky OD'd, and our road manager said, look, told our managers, if you send these guys to Europe, one of them's going to come back in a body bag.
I got really, really scared that this was going to be over, and I was like the guy who said, I'm going to rehab, this is it, no more for me, because I want to do this. I want to be around as long as the Stones, and I will be, and I'm going to rehab to get my life together, because this is bull.
So it took a while for all four of us to finally do it. It took about 2 months or so. And then, you know, it's got to stay like this, because if we ever went back to that state that we were in before, there would be no more Motley Crue.
Weary of LA and its many temptations, the cleaned-up Crue flew away to Vancouver to record what would become their most successful album to date.
You know, as soon as we cleaned up, there was so many ideas just started flowing out of us.
Vince, for the first time, just got into the studio. He used to just disappear, and then we would like find out he's like passed out in the deserts, in Palm Springs, and we would have him brought in and wheeled in, and he would do his vocals and then pass out in the corner. And now he stayed the whole time in Vancouver and went over all of his vocal tracks and listened to things and wanted to correct this and correct that, and that was really neat.
I even flew back to Vancouver for the mixes, and like the band was going, what is this guy doing, man? He doesn't like the studio, there he goes. You know, I was just like really into this record.
I did a lot of different parts, different guitar parts on the album and stuff, which is really good because I've been wanting to do that for a while.
He worked with Bob Rock, you know, our new producer, and Bob really pulled a lot of things out of him that ourselves or another producer couldn't, because Bob was a guitar player, and I guess there's something about being a guitar player on the same wavelength, and he's just pulling stuff out of Mick, like tricks out of a hat, man. He'd tell him, Mick, try this. When he'd just be playing it, and we'd go, wow, yeah, that's great.
I don't think really any of us really thought about being as big as maybe, you know, people think we are.
Everything's turned out way more than I thought it was going to be. When we made our first record, when we were playing when we played the Whiskey A Go-Go in the Starwood back in 1981, I thought, wow, we made it. This is wow. My buds were coming from school, and like they're out there, and I was playing, you know, wow. I thought I made it. I had no idea that this was the rest. I mean, I had no idea that we were going to be playing arenas, Russia, not a clue.
I knew when we started playing, and the first live thing that we did at the Starwood in 1981, and the reaction of the people, I knew this was going to be a mega band.
We really don't think of ourselves as a big band at all.
It's really funny because like even when we play, like on tour now, you know, the shows have been going great, but we always sit back and we ask each other, we go, like Rich, our tour manager, we go, dude, is anybody going to show up tonight?
God, I hope some people show up tonight. You know, we always say that. We're bombing, man. We're bombing, huh? We suck.
Let's shake it up, boys. Little rap stick shake for tonight. Come on, come on, come on. Welcome to the world of Motley Crüe.
Vince says, "Welcome to the world of Motley Crue." This is our world, and our world is wild, man.
Motley Crue have come a long way over the course of their 9-year career, from the metal clubs of Hollywood to their current world tour, which finds them armed with 11 semi-trucks worth of light, sound, and theatrical gadgetry. The emphasis, however, is, as always, on sound. Motley Crue takes the stage with 110,000 watts of power backing them up.
I have 32 amps and cabinets and heads, and Nick has 32 cabinets and heads.
You don't need that much sound to do an arena, and we have like double the amount that we need because we want people to go away going, I'm nauseous from the bass drum.
Another crucial element of the Motley Crue stage show is pyrotechnics. The group started out experimenting with homemade effects, even lighting their clothes on fire. But now, of course, they can afford their own team of pyrotechnicians to choreograph all the theatrical mayhem.
If you're ever having like one of those nights where you're maybe a little tired, you're going, oh God, I'm dying up here, I got no more energy. My third wind is gone, and the pyro goes, you go, yeah!
A little bit better than I used to be.
Motley Crue's current light show, one of the biggest on the boards right now, includes a laser light opening that effectively encapsulates the band's history.
We have this screen thing that comes down, and lasers like tell the story. It creates all these images and stuff, which we kind of ripped off from Neil Diamond.
Another staple of metal shows, and therefore Motley Crue shows as well, is the inevitable drum solo. Tommy Lee has attempted to take these percussive interludes into a more theatrical direction, first with his tilted drum riser on the 1984 Theater of Pain tour, then with his gravity-defying revolving drum kit on 1987's Girls, Girls, Girls outing. For the current Dr. Feelgood tour, he naturally felt that he had to top himself, and yes, he did.
Drum solos are just like, it's just a waste of concert time, People came there to hear music. It's like, okay, yeah, okay, man, wow, that guy's good. He's technical. Ooh, wow, ooh. It's like, who cares, man? These people came to hear music. I figured I would put together something that everyone would enjoy, some music, some old classic stuff.
Along with his distinctive drum concepts, Lee also displays an unusual clothes sense, or lack thereof.
I guess I'm an exhibitionist.
Man, y'all look a little too young to fight in love tonight, baby. Let's go.
Our audience was borderline out of control all the time.
We call them Crue heads. They're just like really die-hard fans.
Motley fans are still going to be Motley fans, whether we're number one or, 101.
Parents are always saying, they're just dumb kids. And that really pisses me off. They're not dumb kids. I wasn't a dumb kid. Just because you like rock and roll doesn't make you stupid or insignificant.
People always send me where their state with their personalized license plate, that says Motley or something like that on it. Those are like really cool, I think.
Some girl in Texas gave me an Explorer, Gibson Explorer. It was a real shock.
I have a tattoo on my arm of Mighty Mouse, so I constantly get Mighty Mouse stuff, stickers. Mighty Mouse pens, Mighty Mouse towels, Mighty Mouse, I got all that stuff.
The best feeling I ever get is when I look down and I'll see somebody singing the song back to me, word for word. I hear Vince in the background singing it, and I'm watching this kid, and he's singing it to me, and he knows every word. Man, that rocks my world.
from the beginning we said that if something ever happened to one of us, that would be the end of Motley Crüe, because Motley Crüe is, you know, Nicky, Tommy, Mick, and me.
And talk about four opposite type of people. You know, you couldn't plan for more different type of people, and it's hilarious. You know, that 10 years later we're like this.
I couldn't even imagine playing with somebody else. You know, I'd rather just call it quits.
If the day ever comes we stop making albums, yeah, you'll be able to like run into us all in the corner somewhere when we're 90 and we'll all still be hanging out together. Mick will be 95. But